to start with a gentle arm swing. Maybe this is met with a little bit of like bounce in your knees, a little bit of twist in your torso. You can start to take this more side to side instead of front to back. Start to bring your head with it. So look in the direction that you're swinging. And start to bring the arms up on a small diagonal. So they go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Widen your stance. Reach them towards opposite toes. Continue to look in the direction of your swing. And come back to neutral. Roll your shoulders back for 8. 5, 4, 3, and switch. 8, 7, 6. Good. Drop your left ear to your left shoulder. Create lots of stretch down the side of your neck, maybe into your upper trap here. Roll your chin to your chest. Switch sides. Left arm is heavy. Switch sides again. This time I'm going to take my hand and grab the top of my head and add just a little bit of tug here. Making sure that I don't follow it with this shoulder. This shoulder moves in opposition to how I'm pulling my head so that I create stretch. And switch. One more time. Do again. Dropping your left ear to your left shoulder, and this time looking down, reaching up to grab the base of your skull like you're trying to smell your armpit. And switch. Drop to the side, turn your head in, reach up, pull down. And bring your chin to your chest, and as you roll down through your spine, try to grow big in your back body. So right now my shoulders and my upper back are pulling towards the ceiling, and as I roll down more, my middle back pulls up towards the ceiling. And now my low back pulls up towards the ceiling, and I'm going to come down to all fours. I want to do a bit of work to strengthen our wrists, some of it in the opposite direction that we tend to use them as riggers, so that we put a little bit of balance back into our bodies. So the first thing we're going to do is just warm up our wrists by making small circles over top of them. Good. Switch directions. You can make this more or less intense based on how close your knees are to your wrists. The closer your knees are to the wrists, the less weight you'll be pouring down into them. The farther away that you get, the heavier this will become. Turn so that your fingers face back. If this feels inaccessible, you can turn them out to the side a bit. And continue to circle. Switch direction. You're going to bring your hands back to neutral. Again, the same logic applies about weight. The closer you bring your knees into your wrists, the easier this will be. The farther away from your wrists you bring your knees, the harder this will be. We're going to do some wrist push-ups here. And what I mean by that is you're going to push your palms into the floor, push your fingertips into the floor, try to peel the heels of your palms up and lift and release. We're going to do 8 of these. If you need to make this easier, bring your knees in. If you want to make this harder, bring your knees out, but do keep your shoulders stacked over your wrists. Good, we've finished 8 of these. Bring your fists together and down to the floor. Push straight, push up to a straight arm, and back down. 2 more. And then widen your hands just a bit. The backs of your hands are on the floor now. You're going to push the back of your hands into the floor to push up to a fist. Open and release down. I'm keeping my knees quite close to my hands here because this is pretty intense on the wrists. As long as you have a bit of weight pouring from your shoulders down into your wrists, then you're doing good work. Good. And let's leave that for a moment and do something to introduce a bit of twist into our body and also hopefully like free up our low back. This should feel good. This is the moment when you need your snowman space, snow angel space. So you're going to lie on your back. You can bring arms out to your side. And we're going to start with gentle crossing of the legs over the other. So as my left leg opens, it stays static and my right leg passes it. My right leg opens, settles, my left leg passes it. They gather in the center. And then one moves across. And this can start to get bigger till you start to feel like your foot or your toe is reaching towards your outstretched palm. Doesn't have to touch. It's just reaching there. Hopefully as this gets bigger, it feels good on the low back. And now we're going to start to add our arms in. So as my left leg crosses over, my left arm comes to my right. As they open together. My right arm moves. And now as you bring your arm and your leg together, start to roll fully over to your side body and find fetal position. Expand out from it. Fetal position. Make a snow angel. Fetal position. Expand. And our last step is going to be taking this from our fetal position all the way up to kneeling and back. I'd encourage you to play with that over time. That will get easier, and there's an intelligence in that movement pattern that will free you up and free your movement up on the floor as you're playing with your partners. We're going to come back to all fours now, and we're going to pull. And it's very hard to figure out how to pull on the floor without access to points overhead. If you do have pull-up bars at home, I'd encourage you to supplement that into this work. It doesn't have to be a full pull-up, just anything that feels like pulling. But while we're here on all fours, you're going to drag the heels of your palms into your knees. So I want you to feel like you've got your hand on the floor and you're trying to pull the palm this way, but nothing's going to move. So take a breath in and pull down. This was also in our gentle flexibility class, so this might be familiar to you. And release. It should feel like a lot of work for something that looks like nothing. Take another breath in. Pull again. And release. Bring your arms forward. And what we're going to do next is we're going to pull, and as we pull, we'll move back into a child's pose position. You should feel in this moment that your upper traps are off. So this goes back to what was spoken about in the intro video. If you don't remember what I'm talking about, go back and rewatch it. It's really important for your rigor body. As you move back, you're going to feel a moment where you can no longer pull evenly through the heels of your palms, but that you have to pull more through the pinky side edge of your hands and that your thumbs float a bit. And that's a fine thing to feel. We want to tune into that moment. So take a breath in. Put a bit of length in your low back. Pull the heels of your palms down towards your knees and start to sit your butt down and away. At a certain point, your pull starts to feel more like a push. Your thumbs lift up. The pinky side of your hands pushes down into the mat, and you release. Let's do one more. Breath in. Pull through the heels of your palms, table-topping your low back, sitting back towards your heels. Roll thumbs up. And release. The next thing that we're going to do is a toe stand. And we're going to sit here for 2 minutes. So I'm going to start my timer in just a second. This might be inaccessible to you in the beginning, or a full 2 minutes might be quite challenging. I encourage you to settle with this sensation. Let it be uncomfortable. Don't stay through pain, but do sit with the discomfort of this a little bit. So just in case you can't see, I have my toes tucked underneath me. I'm kneeling on the floor, and I'm trying to keep the weight. I'm trying not to be here, right? I'm trying to keep the weight of my torso over my heels. So go ahead and we're going to start the clock now. And this is a type of flexibility that's going to open your feet. It's going to open your ankles a bit. It's going to give you access to deeper squats, more ability to move more freely from standing to squatting to the ground, which is a really important type of movement to be able to access, or can be a really helpful type of movement to be able to access as a rigger. So if more freedom of movement on the ground, specifically if you're playing like in low partials or you're doing a lot of dynamic transitions, moving up and moving down, spending some time here can be a really valuable and helpful thing to do. It's probably, if this is quite new to you, it's probably getting to be a challenging sensation at the moment. We're about halfway done. If you need to tap out now, that's totally fine. I would encourage you to push for 5 more seconds the next time you're here, or at the very least, notice the extent to which your tolerance for this position builds. And I will tell you that coming out of this is something that's really juicy feeling. So there's a good reward coming at the end. We're going to move into some squat work in just a little bit. And when we do, I would be curious to know if doing this prior to your squat work changes anything for you. I imagine that it will. We've got about 15 seconds left. If you're still with me, that's awesome. We're almost done. And as you get ready to move out of this, you're going to move out of this quite slowly. So bring your hands forward. Come on to all fours. Gently untuck your toes. Hopefully I kept true to my promise, and that's a good sensation that you're feeling right now. We're going to move to lying on our backs and give our feet a break for just 1 second as we floss our sciatic nerve. Lie on your back. Pull your thigh quite close to your chest. I want contact between your thigh and your belly. And then maintain that contact as with a pointed toe, you straighten your leg just until you feel a tiny bit of resistance. So you can see where my leg starts to shake. And I'm not straightening so much that I move away from my chest. I'm only straightening to here, flexing my heel hard towards the ceiling and taking my leg down to a bent position through a flexed foot. Point again. Straighten, flex, release. Point, straighten, flex, release. Other side. Bring your thigh to your chest, point your toe, keep the thigh and the belly connected as you straighten your leg until you feel the gentlest tugging sensation, and then flex the foot hard, drive the heel to the ceiling, release. Point the toe, straighten, flex, release. Last one. Release. Good. We're going to come up to a standing forward fold. If you want a bit of a movement challenge here, see if you can roll up to your feet. For your standing forward fold, I want you to bend your legs to touch the floor. Anyone can touch their toes if they bend their legs. Right? So bend your legs, put your chest on your thighs, lift your hips, but only go as far as you can go until your chest starts to peel away. And at that moment, you're going to stop and back up, and you're going to live here in this stretch where your thighs and your chest stay connected. This is us maxing out our hamstring length without necessarily engaging the sciatic nerve in the back of the knee, or tasking our calves too much. Here for just another few breaths. And tuck your tail, come to standing. All right, we're going to do some squats. Bring your feet about hip distance apart, maybe a little bit wider. Toes can be parallel or they can be slightly turned out. However they are, your knees need to track over your toes. So as your knees bend, they should bend in the same direction that your toes are pointing. If you parallel your toes and your knees go out to the side like this, you're not doing great things for your body. So check in with how your knees want to bend. Match your feet to it. We're going to take 16 squats. As you squat, think at the top about squeezing your butt, opening your hips. Through the entire squat position, I want weight in your heels and your toes to be lifted. Uh-oh, I lost count. I think this is 6, 7, 8, halfway, 9, 10. Notice if it feels comfortable to drop below parallel. And if it doesn't, that's fine. It's just a marker that we're thinking about so that we can measure progress. I think this is 15 and 16. Great. We're going to try to take this a little bit. We're going to move through a squat progression now that is going to hopefully grant you, again, greater ease of ability in moving between standing, squatting, kneeling, and the floor. Please feel free to exit out of this sequence whenever feels right for you, and then come back to it over time to see if you've made progress. We're going to take this now into primal squat. So I'm going to bring my feet a little bit wider. I'm going to think that I have a bench behind me that I'm trying to sit back into, and I'm coming as low as I can and back up. We're going to do this for 12. One of the cues that was offered to me once that I really loved was that as you're sitting down, you're trying to rip open the seams in the back of your pants. I feel like that cue often transforms people's squats. Maybe that's true for you too. This is 5 and 6. See if you can hang out here for a second. This can be a rest position if you feel like rest is accessible here. You don't have to stay super lifted. You can chill out here. And let's stand up 6 more. 3, 2, 1. Good. Bring your legs together. Squatting as deep as you can with your legs together. I should have said earlier, and I'll say now, that for any and all of these progressions, you're welcome to put something in front of you to help you manage your weight forward. So maybe that's a table that's in front of you. Maybe it's a piece of rope that you have hanging here that you can hold on to help you manage your weight forward and help you feel like you're not gonna like roll onto your butt this way. So anything that you want to use, feel free to get creative about it. We're going down for 12. Really thinking about squeezing glutes, opening hips at the top. I want you to feel stretch here. 5, 6. Ooh. Almost there. 2 more. Good. If you want to progress this through some fun movement challenge, at this point, if all of those types of squats are accessible to you, playing with a pistol squat is something that you're welcome to play with. We're not going to go over that in this video, but that would be where I would take the progression next. We're going to lie down onto our back. Maybe let's squat back down to our back. There we go. Both sides. And do a little bit of core work. For this first piece of core work, I'm going to sit up. I'm going to grab my knees to my chest. I'm going to grab the backs of my thighs, and I'm going to start to expand out. And I want to feel that I'm pulling my thighs to my chest and pushing my thighs away. So there's this counter tension between my arms and my legs such that it pushes my low back into the ground hard. And then I feel the push of my low back, and I hold it there as I extend out as far as I can go until I feel myself lose it. And we'll do this again 3 more times. So pull, try to drop your upper traps, neck grows long, low back pushes into the floor, open, 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 and relax. 2 more. Grab, drop your shoulders. Good. The next thing we're going to do ideally uses a yoga block or something of the sort. So you might make do with a firm pillow. You're also going to want a timer. We're going to spend a minute on each side. I'm going to lie on my back. We'll start the minute when I say. I'm just going to talk about setup right now. I'm going to lie on my back, and I'm going to pin the block between my thigh and my forearm, not my forearm, excuse me, my tricep. Again, anything firm enough that you can have a bit of counter pressure through or that you can squeeze against from both sides is going to do the job. The last thing I care about is that my arm and my leg stay parallel with the floor. So I don't want to be here. I want these up here. Are you ready? We're going to start the clock now. So as your minute goes, you're going to slowly reach and contract and reach and contract. And I'm going to tell you when your minute is up, so you don't have to worry about watching me or watching a clock necessarily. I want you to maybe close your eyes. Focus on the different sensations that you feel as your arms and feet get farther away, the different squeezes that you feel as your arms and legs come close together. We're more than halfway there. Keep going. Make sure that your wrist and forearm and ankle and shin bone are all lifted, and that those bones are parallel to the floor. And we're done. We switch. Find good squeeze between the thigh and the tricep. Shin, forearm lifted and parallel with the floor. Your next minute starts now. The second side's always harder, so you're always a little bit fatigued at this point. Make sure that you're maintaining push. The leg is pushing into the block. The arm is pushing into the block. More than halfway there. 30 more seconds of work. You can do anything for 30 seconds. Good. Extra squeeze. Finish strong. Here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Now that our abs have gotten a workout and we've given our legs a bit of a break, we're going to do one more exercise here, again with the goal of ease of transitions from standing to squatting to sitting. So you're going to take your legs nice and wide. I want you to imagine not this time that you're in between two panes of glass, right? So unlike our squat where we really hinge back and let our chest come forward, you're sitting straight down. Your outer glutes are pulling your knees wide. You might find a bit of a bounce here, and we're going to transition from this position into a lunge and up and lunge and up for 8. So that was 1. 2. Make sure that the forward knee doesn't track past the ankle. I don't want this to go here. I want this to go straight down. 3. 4. Halfway, it's work. You're doing good. 5. 6, almost. Your hips stay in their midline. So everything, your orientation changes, but the sense of up and down doesn't move much. I think that was 8. One more additional challenge from your lunge. Sit down and back up. Lunge. Up. Whew, this is exhausting. Lunge. Sit down. Lunge. Up. If you want to do more of that, pause the video now and do it for yourself. I'm not going to do more of that. That's really tiring. Last thing. Lunge. Down. Sit. Up. Lunge. Up. Lunge. Down, sit, up, lunge, up. I hope that this movement class has given you a number of tools to free yourself up and progress to greater and greater ease of movement in the way that rigging often demands of you. Thank you.